Hello everyone. Something very exciting is going to be happening in my garden tomorrow, and that is professional photographers are coming over to take some photos. Now the garden is not quite yet photography ready, so we're going to go ahead and spruce her up just a little bit. So it's actually going to be photographed two different times. Tomorrow what's happening is the team from Proven Winners is coming over to take photos of a few different areas of the garden. I did meet with them back maybe in March or April to discuss the certain areas and what we wanted to plant. So they sent me all those plants and I knew what I was going to do with them. And this is all going to be in next year's Gardener's Idea Handbook for 2026. So I am really excited. I am very excited the budworms have not eaten my petunias yet, because that's probably what I was most nervous about. But luckily they left them alone so far. If they eat them overnight though, I will be very upset. So this photography session for Proven Winners is just going to focus on vertical planting in containers. No idea why they chose me for that. And so we are going to kind of focus on certain areas of this garden and the garage deck garden. We're not going to take photographs, I don't think, of all of the plants, although I do have other Proven Winners plants in different places. But in 2 to 3 weeks, Garden Gate magazine is coming over to take some photos of the garden. And I think that's going to be the garden as a whole. So things have to stay alive until then. But let me show you what we're doing for Proven Winners. The rooftop deck, the focus is mostly this bucket planter. So I'm going to, like for example, even though this flower box does have Proven Winner flowers, I'm probably going to move them up maybe on this railing just so the whole bucket planter can be shown. So that I'm definitely going to do. I need to like sweep, clean up. I need to pretend that my hose isn't always just lying on the deck, even though it is. So today, like I said, I'm kind of going to be getting the majority of the plants situated and cleaned up. Tomorrow I'll come out, put out my tablecloth, put out a vase of flowers, make it look like I'd never caused dirt and chaos in my garden. So let's go ahead, and I think I'm first going to start maneuvering things around here and figuring out where I want different plants to go. What I'm going to do next is clean up some of these plants, specifically the Gomphrena, because I know there are some that need to be deadheaded. Of course, this is also the time when a lot of pollinators are on them, but I know you guys don't want the dead ones, so we'll try not to be in your way. Any of them that are already starting to turn brown and lose their petals, I'm taking off. Well, I realized at some point my microphone turned off, but I've gone ahead and deadheaded the Gomphrena. I'm sure I'll find more to deadhead as I'm moving some things around, so I'll just keep my pruners on hand. I did shift over this hydrangea just to cover up some of the drip. I'll figure out if I need to put something over there or if that's even going to be in the photographs. I've moved one of the Angelonia boxes up there. However, the wind is blowing the way they're already leaning, so I think I'm just going to turn the box around. That way, hopefully, tomorrow they'll be standing straight upright. Tomorrow I will also do some final zhuzhing of the plants. It's just been so windy today that even if I move some a little bit now, they're probably going to be blown over again in a few minutes. But I'm liking that. I think I'm going to put, so I have another flower box of the purple Angelonia on the ground. I think I'm going to also put it on the other side of that fence over there, because this is going to be the backdrop, which usually, you know, this is what my couch is facing. It looks pretty, but it's not like the backdrop. So if I'm going to move the chairs over here, which I think I am for the photos, I want to have some things that are taller and some things that are shorter. This is very fun. I'm not actually a photography person in terms of knowing how to take good quality photos, but I would love just to be a plant photographer, artistic director, and moving things around. I will say Gomphrena is probably one of the messiest plants that I have if I don't harvest them to dry them. Like if I let them die on the plant and they start to drop all their petals, I definitely get a lot of mess from those. So I'm going to try harder this year to make sure I'm harvesting them when they're at their peak before they start to drop their petals. And then plus I can use them over the winter for dried flower crafts. Okay, I think I have an idea. So I'm going to move stuff around real quick and then show you what I've got and see if I want to make any adjustments. Again, the goal here is to show the outdoor living space, but really focus on this specifically. So I'm going to shift furniture over there. Actually, I don't know if I'll keep them over here, even if I like it, because I am a creature of habit, and I feel like that will just throw me off if things are in different places than usual. But at least for tomorrow, that is the goal. This is also a time where I'm very glad the majority of my planters are on wheels, just in case. This already feels weird because I would definitely not want to sit with my back towards the church, but if you're taking photos of the couch and the church is in the background, that is really pretty. I will be cleaning off the cushions and the table at some point before tomorrow. See, the problem with a small garden is that to move things out of the way, you move them in the way of something else because there's not enough space to get all the things out of the way of each other. But maybe if I do this, it's like the little seated area. All right, I do think I like this positioning. So couch there, that tall border back there, church in the background. It's also hiding some of the smaller potted plants that are not enjoying the heat, so are a little bit brown and crispy, so you can't see those. This chair, I'm gonna angle it for now just to open up the space a little bit because I don't know, another problem with the small deck is that I am already back as far enough as I can go. So hopefully they can take photos easily, but if they want to move the furniture around, that's obviously fine too. And then they can shoot that way and show like using vertical planting as a privacy wall when your decks are really close together. So I think this is good in terms of the positions. There are some things that I have to plant. This right here is the largest pot on my deck. It did have, well, it still has some poppies in it that I'm going to pull. And then within the poppies, I planted yarrow, which has not bloomed yet, but that's what all these leaves are. So I'm going to take out all the remaining poppy stems because I don't think anyone wants to look at photos of dead stems. So I'm going to take all these out. Then I'm going to add in some Proven Winners plants with color. I feel like this actually worked out really well though because the yarrow was growing underneath the poppies. I was afraid they wouldn't get enough light, but it's not like the poppies are very dense anyway. So these grew really beautifully under there. And then once the poppies died back, I have all this fresh green growth that will hopefully flower soon. And then from Home Depot, I went and got 3 of the Super Bells pink Calibrachoa. So we're going to put these just randomly in here. One, to at least have some Proven Winners plants in here, but also I think this will work really well because it'll stay a bit lower and bushier while these grow tall. But until these flower, I will actually have some color within here instead of just looking at a bunch of green leaves. So I'll put one right here. I don't know if I planted anything exactly in the center. I don't think I did. So we're going to add one directly in the center. Although, will that throw off the balance? Ooh, I don't know. Okay, hang on. We just push those leaves back out. Okay, one problem is when I did plant with the poppies, I did the yarrow after the poppies. So I was kind of going around the poppies instead of spacing the yarrow out evenly. But you know what? I think it'll look pretty either way. It's not like this is the star of the show. And once the Calibrachoa starts to grow and spread around the pot, you're not really going to be able to tell where it starts and where it ends. It's all going to grow together. Here we go. Now it all kind of looks like it might be one plant anyway, already growing together. All right, I think that looks much better. We got some pops of color, some Proven Winners in there. Will I hose down the cushions and the floor? I'm not going to worry too much about sweeping up every single thing until tomorrow because who knows what else is going to fall between now and then. But I feel good about this. You see plants everywhere. It's a cozy little room. Beautiful church in the background. So I am happy with how this is coming together. And then this is how the rest of the deck looks, but it's not going to be in photographs, so that doesn't matter. So that's going to be all I'm doing today, but it's not the end of the video. I'm also going to include everything that happens tomorrow. So the Proven Winners team is going to get here around 1 or 2 in the afternoon. So I have plenty of time in the morning just to make sure everything's set, put out the final pieces like the tablecloth and the vase and whatever else I might want to grab. Then I'll show you how it looks in the morning and then hopefully be able to show you while they're actually taking the photographs. So I'm really excited. I'm glad that for the most part, things are still alive. So I will see you in just a second, but also tomorrow. Well, it is the next day and the day of the photo shoot. They were supposed to come at 1, but in order to get a little bit more shade, they're actually coming at 5, which is in about an hour and a half. So I made a quick run to my favorite garden center, Gethsemane Garden Center in Chicago, and just got a few more plants to stick in for the photos. So let me take you outside. We'll go to the back deck and I'll show you what it looks like. And then we'll go downstairs. I don't think it really changed much downstairs. This is already set up like a living space, but I'll show you what that looks like too. So this is the back deck. Here's the living space. I added a bouquet of some hydrangeas. I popped in some magazines and the tablecloth. So I think this is going to work out really well because they didn't just want to show the bucket planter, but nothing else around it, because then people would be like, okay, maybe that's pretty, but how would I use it? But by moving the furniture over here, you can tell that, oh, that offers me some privacy on this rooftop deck. Now for the back bed where I pulled the Cosmos, I did move the Prince Tuts over here in this planter. I just felt like it needed some height and I wanted more color back here. So I got a butterfly bush and an Achillea. So the yellow one here, I think it was called coastal golden, something, I don't know. The word golden was in the variety. And then this butterfly bush, which first of all was covered in butterflies there. And I got it home and the bees and the butterflies were immediately flocking to it. Now these are perennials. So I'm trying to figure out a few things. One, the butterfly bush will get big. So right now, both of these are still in their nursery pots. I don't know if I'm going to plant it, leave it in the nursery pot for a little bit, but I do want to replant it downstairs, probably in the courtyard area where I actually have the tiniest bit of ground to plant in. So I think that's what I'll do with that. This one I might try to leave up here because it would be nice to have perennials that come back, but I can't always count on perennials coming back over the Chicago winter. On the garage deck now, and this is the area they're going to focus on for the photography. So for here, the point is to show how you can use plants and grow them vertically for privacy in urban areas. And I think the wall is just perfect right now. All the trellises are full, everything looks bushy and beautiful, and they actually do want to be able to see the wheels because they want to show off how it can be mobile as well. But this spot, I'm so happy with how it's turned out. Those two pink hydrangeas, I believe they are Let's Dance? Can Do? Maybe? Don't quote me on that, but those are usually on the breezeway. I moved them over here just to add in some color, but let me show you where I think they'll probably take photos from. So I'm thinking from this angle because this will show how the space is used. Okay, we're gonna sit here, we're gonna hang out, we're gonna relax, we're gonna eat, and now you have this wall of privacy from the house and deck next door that you would not have otherwise. So that's my thoughts. I don't know. I mean, they'll probably do a bunch of different angles, but this is what I was thinking for this spot.
Do you mind if I do some?
The photo shoot is over, but that was so cool. I loved a bunch of different things. First of all, the two people that were here were fantastic. One was the photographer and the other one was there to style the shoot. And there's just so much stuff I don't know about photography and balance, but it was fun because they would move stuff around and I was like, oh, if I laid out my garden that way, this is what it would look like. So I took photos every time they moved anything, so I could figure out if I want to keep it here or if I maybe want to move things around next year. It was also, well, it's always just fun to talk with people about plants. So we just talked about our favorite plants and gardens and cats. Jack was trying to hang out with us, but he's not allowed to come outside because I don't trust him to stay on the deck and not jump off of the deck. But yeah, the garden looks good. I'm excited with how everything is at this point. Now it can start to die and I'll be a little bit less stressed if it does. But this was so exciting. So I knew back in March they were going to include me in the Gardener's Idea book. So I was able to plan kind of ahead of time and they sent me the specific plants to use. And this was just really fun. And I'm hoping it gives people a lot of really good ideas. But yeah, that's going to be everything for this video. So I will see you in the next one. Bye.